Awesome. So we are going to take another run at doing this here. I reinstalled some stuff. I think I got stuff working. We'll see how it goes. um, I'm going to today go over the brain part, the Flask API libraries to just see a different way of doing that. So that's what I'm going to do. I went through and checked this out. I think it's gonna work. So fingers crossed. Let's see what we got here. And put that over there. And let me share screen here. Actually, before we jump in, uh, any any particular pain points you want to kind of talk about before we start looking at code, or you just want to sort of hit it as we go along? Cool. Let's hit it as we go along. So, and meeting controls. Great. So I've got, let me see if I can do this. No. Let me take a look at here. So we went through a lot of this yesterday at a high level. The importance of serializers. Yes, they're important. And we kind of stalled out at getting Postman. I am going to be using Insomnia. And so that is, it's basically Postman. It's just, looks like it was made this century. So it's just a slightly less fiddly interface. But Postman does exactly the same thing in theory. So we will look at that there. So, and look at that, I already have some stuff. Can I clear it easily? Who knows? Uh, so yeah, hey, I got stuff working. Great. Look at that. So what I would like to do here. Yeah. Put my face down here. Look at that. That's great. Cool. So what I would like to do is just kind of start walking through this, still building on our productions here. We're going to add some, or we have added some relationships in the data. We'll talk about how that works with all this. But cool. We talked about API fundamentals, architecture, serializing, Postman, all that stuff. I don't think, have I done this setup yet? I'm just going to follow this along. I don't want to go and mess with the adding the if the main run it as an app. I'm just going to run it through Flask run. I think this is already set up for me. No, maybe not. Did I do an install? I did an install. Why now? Could not import. Oh, I need to be in the right directory. That's why. Cool. So there's our instance up there, or will be as soon as we do our. I think we have our migrations in there. Versions. Oh, maybe not. Great. Cool. Let's go ahead and do our migration. Let's bring the database up to current. And we have some seeds here. And this is, so let's take a look at our model first, actually. We have to do a couple little things here. But the model is going to be our production model like we had before. And we're also going to have a crew member model. So that's going to be people working on that production. And we're going to have some relationships there as we go. But we'll get to that as we get to it. Our seed is going to have a bunch of stuff in it. We're going to use Faker. I think, is Faker in here? Yeah, look at that. We're going to use Faker in here. And if you haven't used it, it's very cool. I think a lot of you have. But basically, you import it, make an instance of it, and then we can, after we make our productions and throw those in the database, we can basically say like, oh, here are our roles. We can go through and make fake names and everything for each one and throw them in there. So that saves us a lot of typing. I know some of you all did a lot of typing for your projects. So hopefully that will alleviate some of that going forward. So I'm going to run these seeds. Everything should work. Nope. Already been registered. Import that, use it. Cool. I don't think we need that then. Fantastic. So if we look at our instance, we should have a bunch of good stuff in there. Let's just look at productions. How about that? Yeah, there's some productions, some cast members. Fantastic. So we've got our data to work with. We've got our database. We've got the database set up. We're just going to need to hook it up to our application, which we will walk through here. So, yep, I don't want to look at that. I want to look at this. Cool. So we did all that stuff. Yep. Done. So same imports as before, except for importing requests, so I don't have to mess about with it later on. So we're importing Flask, we're importing the request so we can get the bits and pieces off a request, make response, JSONify like usual, and the migration stuff. We're also going to bring in, oh, it says right here. You know, if I just followed the steps, it would probably go way easier instead of just me talking through it. But here we are. So I'm also going to import this API library. And so basically what this does is instead of doing using Flask's app route and do all that stuff there, which is kind of the way I prefer to do it, but this is another way to do it because as we know, Python's motto is there's a million ways to do it. So we're going to import this API library. And what it does is it lets us create a class for each of our resources. And then inside that resource, we can define our get post and so on. And it's a matter of I think it's a matter of taste, which one you use. It's a rule 2 situation. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, do it a different way. And this, I think so. In the curriculum, I noticed it said Flask is the ideal framework to build an API with. If I had time, I would submit pull requests to every part of the curriculum that had a subjective statement like that. Flask is a way. It is a fine way. I will probably not use anything besides Flask to do Python unless I get hired to, which I definitely will not because I'm not taking that job if I need to. But Flask is a fine way to do it. I think it's clean, it's straightforward. It's got a lot of modules and libraries and stuff you can plug into it. If you want to use a NoSQL database or like Amazon, not an S3, what do they have? Some sort of Amazon thing, you can totally find a thing to do what you want with it. That said, it is pretty lightweight. And I think the simplicity is balanced with performance and like scalability and all that stuff. So it is unlikely that in a real job situation you'll be using Flask, but all of the principles apply. So I think this is just a cleaner, more easily understood way to do stuff that you would do in a real Python job. Kind of like brings everything to the surface and makes it really clear. So that's why I think Flask is totally fine as far as frameworks go. So that said, API class lets us do the thing we were doing with Flask straight up in a different way. Some people think it's clearer. Some people think the other way is clearer. I don't know. I don't really have a strong opinion about it, I guess. So let's stop jabbering and talk about let's just make it go. So we're going to need to import it. We're going to need to from what is it? From API, the Flask RESTful. Yeah, Flask RESTful. Yeah, like it says right there. We're going to import. We're going to import API and resource, just like it says right there. Great. Just follow the steps. So much easier. Cool. We're also going to be importing our database and our two models from our models file, so we have access to those, and then doing all the setup. Don't need that, but it doesn't hurt. This is just a prettifying thing, so when you do a JSON thing, it'll format it kind of nicely so you can look at it. It has no effect really, functionality wise. Cool. Then we get all the database stuff set up, and we are ready to go. So the first thing we're going to do, like it says, we're going to API equals API app, and that means we're going to register the, we're going to create a new instance of the Flask Flask RESTful stuff, so we can use it. And we're going to say we're going to use it with this app. Great. Create a production class that inherits from resource. I think, did we do that? I think we did that. No, we need to do a, so we're going to create the class for the resources here. So it might be, it might not be confusing. Maybe it's just me. So we're creating these that inherit from our model here. So these are the things that, these are our ORM classes that actually hook up to our database. And so in our app here, and I might actually break these out into another file, but I'm not going to right now to keep our core a little bit cleaner. But we're going to make this basically the same classes that represent our resources so what's the difference between a resource and a model? Great question, Mark. A resource is a RESTful endpoint. Basically, it's saying we're going to say, get /production or /cast member. We're going to do our get post patch delete on it. So that's a resource is part of the API. And resources use models, which are the things that hook up to the database. So if you look at the stack of things, we've got our database model stuff underneath, we've got our resource classes on top of that, and then we've got our web app making requests to those resources. And depending on how your front end is set up, you might have classes for each of those things in there too. They're just different ways to represent the same physical object, just with different functionalities. They're all necessary in one way or another. Great. So let's go ahead and create that production class. So we're going to say class productions. Want to do productions or production? I'm going to do productions for now. Let's see why.
Yeah, so the labs here, they had plural, and that caused me a moment of grief, a few moments.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because, like, I don't know, from last phase, right? I had it in my head of like classes are singular and then the tables are plural.
Yeah.
Is this here putting our what was that, our resource classes?
Mm-hmm.
Is that best practice as just the same thing but plural? Do people use like a different word?
Yeah, so I think the actual reason this is productions instead of production is because we're already using production as a model. I would probably call it production singular for the same reason that we call this production singular. Our table is going to be plural. Our class, in theory, should be production, should be singular, and I bet it's going to ask me to make ask roots in there. Yeah, we'll see when we get to it. But yeah, in general, and again, it's a preference thing and or specification thing. If you're working on a team that uses plurals everywhere, that's what you do. If they're using singulars everywhere, that's what you do. When you're working on your own project, you get to choose. I don't think there's a best practice. I think it is one of those topics that is hotly debated by nerds who want to avoid doing work, myself included. And I think public opinion kind of leans a little bit towards singular, but I don't think either way is right or wrong. Like everything, there's no right or wrong. There's just easier or harder, or works or doesn't. So yeah, I'm gonna call that a matter of choice, but depending on where you're working, it might not be. That's a really good question. But the primary reason here is that it conflicts with our model's name. So that's that. Cool. We made a production class. Great. What's going to be in that class? So let's talk about a little bit. So there's a couple steps here. We're going to make inside here, we're going to write functions, and those functions, because they're part of the class, are methods. And kind of thinking forward a little bit, since this is a class and we're going to be writing methods on it, like def get some methods like that. Since we're writing these methods on it, these are going to be instance methods, which means that well, let me do some skeleton stuff here, and then we'll go into the actual things. So since these are going to be instances, no, since what am I trying to say? We're defining the resource as a class. The methods on the class are going to be instance methods, which means that whatever is consuming this class is going to be making instances of it and calling those methods. And so that looks like this. We have our API, and our API is hooked up to the app, so we know it's got its tendrils in there doing something. What we can do is right there, add a resource. So we're going to add resource. We're going to call it productions because that's our class here. And then we're going to hook it up to a URL. I'm going to say productions here, but under protest. So hey, there we go. So this means that our API as a whole is we've registered this. Basically, we're saying, and again, in true Python fashion, it's a little bit backwards. If I were writing it, I would say for this route, use this class, but potato. So we're saying we're going to add and remember, in Python and a lot of languages, a class is just an object. So we're passing that object, that class object, into registering it with the API. We're saying, hey, when someone wants to get at that, make an instance of that class and call the right method on it. Not necessary to know really, but nice to know, I think. Cool. So yeah, serialization is great. Yeah, it is. Okay, let's make our get route. After all that, excuse me. Great. So we are going to make get method done. We're going to create a productions array. Great. So why do we want to create a productions array? I don't know. Yeah, I guess we can do that. Spelling out the steps. So we're going to make a productions array. I'm not going to call it productions because that is going to be confusing. I'm just going to say call it production list. And here I'm going to do my query, and then we're going to mesh it into the right shape. So I'm going to want to do production query all. So that will give me all the records. This is going to be a list of production model objects, which does me no good. So we're going to want to map that over or do a list comprehension. List comprehension. Map is one syllable. So we're going to want to for every production in that list of production objects, we're going to want to do a p to dict, and oh, look at that, it's not auto completing. So prod to dict. Cool. So that tells me that we probably need to do something. But before we do that, yeah, let's go ahead and make a response and return it. Yeah, let's just do it step by step. We're going to say response. We're going to make a response, and we're going to take our production list, and we're going to make it 200, and we're going to return that response. Yeah, that's everything. That should not work, I don't think. I don't think that's going to work. I'm almost positive of it. But let's go ahead and Flask run. Great. I don't believe this is going to work. I would be very surprised if it did. Well, let's see. Or it's going to do something. I'm like 50-50. It might bomb on the lack of serializer. No, it did. Hey, yeah, it did. Look at that. Internal server error, no attribute to dict. So look at that. Oh, it doesn't say it's going to work. It just says to test it. Clever. So yeah, that's not going to work because our serializer isn't hooked up. This is great. What's great? I don't know. So again, we are going to need to, in our model, like we said, we're going to, oh, look at that. Again, step by step. We're going to need to, from Squelch Me serializer, we're going to import serializer mixin. Cool. And we're going to need to pass that in as a mixin. And again, like I said yesterday, this is mixins are, instead of inheriting from two classes, it inherits from the model class, and then we use mixins to sort of add extra bits in it to mod that class. Cool. Create a serialized rule that will help add our crew members to the response. Okay. So adding a serializer rule basically means that we are going to create that rule, and it needs to be I believe it needs to be a tuple of 1, which means we need to do the weird comma thing. So we did that. Yeah, so I'm going to create a rule, serialize rules, and we're going to give it that tuple of 1, and let's see. We're going to want to add the, we're going to remove the crew members. We're going to get rid of that production, I think. So that will let us, yeah, so basically saying when we look at the crew members, it's kind of, I think the same, where did we come across this problem before? What was it, 15 weeks ago, maybe? Basically, the serialized rules are, or for me at least, were a little bit tricky to understand in the first place, because it feels like this is a flag that's saying, oh, add the crew members production, and that sort of skimming past it makes sense, especially if you have a command line brain where you're passing things with dashes, but that's not a dash, that's a minus sign. We're saying because the crew members are going to be serialized in there anyway, and I believe the crew members come with, yeah, they are hooked up to the production. So when we do a production with all the crew members, each crew member by default is going to have the production with it, which we already have. We are doing that here. So without taking out the production serialization from the crew members, we would have all the info for the production. We'd have the list of crew members, and then for each crew member, we'd have the list of information for the production again. So not a disaster, but suboptimal. So this is saying when you serialize it, take out with the minus sign the production stuff for the crew members. And you could do you could do a lot of stuff. If these were users, you could say like, hey, serialize rules minus user password, right? Because you don't want to return people's passwords, or anything like that. So if there's any information that you don't want to put in the serialization, you just throw them in here, and it's a tuple, so you can throw as many as you want in, but this is a tuple of one, so we're adding our comment there. Yeah, this is tricky. I know this is going to be on the code challenge, so just keep that in mind, but bookmark that one. You've got a week to change. So yeah, so we're going to do the same thing here or actually, any questions about the serialization and the serialization rules here before we move on? Cool. I think it's tricky. If y'all got it, that's great. You're ahead of me. So we're going to do the same thing here to our crew members. We're going to make it serializable. And we're going to create our rule here. And for here, the rule is going to be taking, so when we, yeah, same thing, only in reverse. When we serialize the crew member, we're also going to get the production information with it. And the production has crew members. So we don't want to have crew member with the production and then list all the crew members again, which includes the thing that is attached to. So we're just going to do the same kind of rule here, only in reverse. So we're going to serialize rules. And this is not just a, kind of gloss over that. This is not just a variable. This is part of serializer mixin. Basically, one of the things it does is add properties to our class. And one of those properties is serialize rules. So, so it knows what to do. So we're going to take out, and we're going to make this a string. We're going to take out the production, and we want to take out the crew members, underscore members. I think that will set us up. Thank you. Cool. Yeah. If you have trouble with it, practice it. Definitely will be on the code challenge. Pretty sure, 90% sure. Cool. All right. That should bump us maybe. Nope. Cool. So now I bet if we tried to do our to dict again. No, why you to go? Well, let's see. Maybe we need to restart our server. Oh, because I did something wrong. Did I throw an extra dot somewhere? Model PY 43. Look at that. One dot messes everything up. Cool. Now I bet it's going to give us the to dict. Oh. Okay, let's start the server and see what the error is this time. Nothing. Great. Let's go ahead and see if that works. I'm like 85% sure. Hey, look at that. And so we have our productions, and they're not in any particular order, but we have our description, our definitely watching that. All that, and then we have our crew members, and the crew members do not have their productions in there because we don't care about the other productions. So cool, that worked. Great. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead in here. look at that. Great. We got our stuff back. Awesome. So it's working for a Git at least. Cool. What we did that right. Great, fantastic. We did all that. Any questions about building the get root with the app or the API, the Flask API library so far? Awesome. So let's add some more stuff. I'm going to create a post route. I'm going to create a post route. What's going on there? So this is going to be the same kind of deal. We are going to just add a post method to it, since it knows we are in the productions resource, and we know that we're going to be doing that. We want to add a post self. And so then when you make a call to that with a post, it's going to look in here, see if there's a post method. And if not, it does some nice error handling and stuff like that. Cool. Yeah. So let's make our post. So body in front. I'm not going to test it yet. I know it's not going to work yet. So wants us to do it in students. Great, cool. Let's do it in students then. Do we have a students resource yet? No. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. I want to go ahead and add a well, you know what? I'm gonna do it for this one first, I think. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that first. So yeah, we know how to do all that. Great, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and see about making a new writer for our post. So our post, we're going to make a new production. So we'll call it a new production. We're going to make a new production model object, which we know because it's singular here. And we're going to pass it some stuff. So it wants us to do form stuff. I don't think I like that. Well, let's follow along anyway. Yeah, you're never. Oh, I know what's happening here. Okay, cool. To be transparent here, the person who wrote this part of the curriculum, who is no longer with us, didn't really know about phases 1 and 2 apparently, and assumed that we were going to be building forms with this and sending it with form data instead of with JSON stuff. So I think some of the examples here may be a little bit weird. I don't know if it's like this in the curriculum or not. I think there might be, and I think there's one lesson that I think I pulled out that's about Formic. That's a weird library to make these forms do a thing. We're never going to use form data ever, so I'm not going to do it like that. But I am going to grab our JSON like we did before. So well, first off, let's see how that works. So I'm going to let's just do print. We're just going to print response JSON, right? Is that a thing? Request JSON. Sorry. Let's try again. Great. So and I'm just going to return. I'm just going to return. We'll just return the thing back. Don't need that right now. Going off script, always good. I don't have a script. So instead of doing a form data thing, which is not a thing that we do in this year of our Lord 2023. Cool. Yeah, recording is great. we are going to do a JSON request instead, like a normal person. So here we are. We're doing productions instead. Great. So productions have what? I was testing out the other route there. Okay, productions have a budget. And it's got something there. I'm not going to put crew members in, I don't think. I want to do that. Yeah, we'll add crew members later. So then we got a description. Let's go backwards. Title. I'm gonna do waiting for it to go again. We're gonna say image. Oh, I had that image right. Where was it? Hey, look at that. That's what I wanted. Stress. Fantastic. So good. Image. Worrying about the important things. Image, ongoing quotes. I think nope, they're there. Let's say true because they're always waiting. Genre here and service. Director, that is Sam Beckett. And descriptions. I think that is all we need. Cool. I just gotta copy that just in case. So we're gonna send a post. I'm going to send this as JSON, and I think we'll be good with that. Let's keep an eye on our server log here. And so I think the way it's set up, we have productions, we are sending a post. And so I'm just gonna debug it here in the console and it should return that same JSON that was sent. So it's just like just an echo right now. Method is not allowed for the requested URL. That's a 405 and no good. Is there something else I need to set up for that? I don't feel like there is. Oh, do I need to send a? Oh, I need. You know what? I'm going to make a response and return that. Yeah. I'm going to. So this should just be JSON. I'm going to return it with a 200, or I guess 201 because that's created. Yeah, I wonder what that'll do. Let's find out. Let's send that. Still not allowed. Hmm. Create post route. Response. Text in post route. Doesn't say it would work. Yeah, I don't think any of that matters. Clearly something matters. This was working earlier. I don't think that's going to change anything. Let's find out. Okay. Let's go ahead and send content type application JSON. Yep. All that stuff. There's all that stuff. Method not allowed for requesting URL. What am I missing? I feel like I'm missing anything. Yeah. Well, let's do some Googling. So let's look at Flask API post or Flask RESTful post, and then just do that whole error message. What did we do wrong? Let's go. We did that. Nope, that's not what we want. Nope, that's not even about that. It's not even about that either. It's going to look at the old. See, everything is going to be with the. Yeah. God, nothing wants to talk about this. Flask RESTful. Let's make it talk about this. Cool. Let's do Flask RESTful. This is about how to fix problems. Flask RESTful, great. Cool. Get. Get post. It is named the right thing, right? Get post. Yep. Post self. Yep. Okay. Cool. That's useless. Let me double check that this still works. That still works. Great. How to fix. That's what I want. Yep, it is called post. We did that part right. Follow the instructions. Yep, that's right. Let's see here. Post. We're gonna get the post. Yep, that's the same thing. No help there. Weird. That's gonna be the same. Only specified post. Yeah, that's a different. Yep, that's not using that. Okay, cool. Trying to no. I don't think it's gonna do anything, but I'm gonna restart the server just to see. No errors. Great. This one still works. Great. And this one. Cool. When in doubt, restart your server. Amazing. Oh, thanks a lot, Flask. Cool. So we did it right. We just didn't restart the server. Okay, cool. So we are getting our post productions, making that, getting a 201, which means that the thing was created, even though it wasn't. And we are able to hit it, and we are able to get our echo back. So now that we know that that does actually work, and we can get the JSON, let's go ahead and create a new production with it. So like we have here, we have a new production. And since we have that JSON, I think, what happens if we just pass that JSON? Gosh, I don't know. Can we do that? You know what? I'm going to try it first and see if it complains. And then if not, we'll do something different. Request JSON. And yeah, let's just go ahead and do the whole thing and see what breaks. Cool. So we have a database. We're going to add it to the session, DB session. We want to add, just add. We need to add our new production, right? We need to commit it. Function. And we are going to get our response. We're going to say the new production is the to-dict. Great. And so that will give us, and so instead of just returning the request JSON, the reason that we are returning the dict that was created there is because the request just has what we sent it. When we created a new one, that should give us the ID and created and modified and all that stuff. If this works. So I'm gonna be paranoid about this every time. Okay, cool. That is running. Let's go ahead and try and see if this works. I am not confident, but I'm willing to try. Yeah, internal server error. Takes one positional argument, but two is over. Right, yeah. Yeah, so that's not gonna work. I wonder if there's no, if this was JavaScript, I'd just spread it. Interesting. I wonder if, well, let's do some Googling. I know we can do it bit by bit. Flask, Flask, SQL, Alchemy, create new model instance from just an object. Yeah. Hey, better way. Yeah, there we go. Hey, that's what I want. Great. That's our spread. Right. That's the yeah, these things here, the quarks. Cool. We do have a spread. Fantastic. That's what I want. So with the form data thing that it wants us to do, you would do, title equals request form title, name or directory equals title request form, all that stuff. I think we can just do this then. Where was I here? So that is, if you want to look it up, it's KWARGS, I believe, in Python. And it basically does the same thing as the .. spread operator does in JavaScript. But we're not using JavaScript, we're using Python. So we're going to do that. I'm more confident now. Let's see if my confidence is warranted. Yeah, cool. Descriptions is not a, yep, that's not, we want description. Well, at least we know we're getting it there. Cool. So we don't need to restart it. We're just getting the same thing. Look at that. We did it. We did a post. Yeah. Cool. And see how it's returning it with the created at. It's giving us an ID, all that stuff. So that's why we want to get the to-dict from the model instead of just echoing it back, because we actually get the important things. And that's, we don't create it with an ID. The database creates the ID for us, and then we get that back. Great, we just did a post route. Amazing. If you only wanted to, if they were sending more JSON and you didn't want to do all of it, that would look like title equals request JSON title, and so on. And you do that for all 1 million things there, but we're not going to do that. We are just going to do quarks, which is like a spread. Yeah, I don't know if that's in the docs anywhere, but that's a great way to do it, I think. Cool, so that's our post. Questions?
Yeah, I'll say I did not see that in the curriculum, but I did find even a third way that's not this or the form, where I set a variable to equal request.get_JSON in JSON is like a method or function or whatever. And then in this like new production, let's say I set that variable to, Travis. I would do name equals Travis bracket name,
Yeah.
image equals Travis bracket image, and like that. So even,
And that's kind of what we're doing here instead of, but we'd make it say, but R equals or J equals request JSON. And that would make all these a little bit nicer, but yeah, that's a lot of things to type, and I don't like typing. That's not true. I like typing. Yeah, cool. So again, there are many ways to do it. Any other questions about doing that post? Cool. Yeah, we'll do a get one route. Get rid of all that. So let's see what we're gonna do an ID get route. Let's do it. Let's make do it for the cast members, I guess. Or I don't know. Let's just keep it with productions. Why not? Oh yeah, because we need to, this is the drawback to this kind of thing. Where, well, I don't know, it's 601. So basically, if you want to do a route for a different URL or you want to do a different path route, you have to make a new class for it, which feels a little clunky to me sometimes, but you're probably going to wind up doing that anyway somewhere else. So let's just do it. So we wanted to make a new class. It's going to be productions again, but we'll call it production because it's singular and we can say by ID. Yeah. And so we want to inherit from resource again, just like we did up here. And since we have all that set up, great. So we're going to define our get, because it's just going to be a get method again. But this time, it's including, in addition to self, it's going to take the ID. And we'll see what that, well, we can see it right now. I'm just going to pass that right now. We're going to need to add the resource here, API add resource. And we are going to add it to the production by ID. Yep, we're going to add the production ID, production by ID class there. And we're going to give it the path we want. And it's going to look basically the same as when we do it with the at route method. We're going to do productions, and we're going to give it the int ID. And so this is the same thing here. When we, and actually, I like putting these together like that. Others disagree. So we can basically have so if you have a whole bunch of classes with a whole bunch of routes and you put all of them down at the bottom here, that's basically your documentation, which is kind of nice. But in this case, we're doing the same thing as we would with an at route. It's looking for productions and then a number afterwards. A string will not do. And so since we've added this class to that route, it's going to be throwing that in there and passing it to our get. So now we just need to implement our get there. And this is something we know how to do, right? Production, yeah, we'll call it production. Production equals, and we're just going to get the one. So it's going to be production query. We need to filter. We can do a filter by, I guess. ID equals ID. And so this is basically, this is passing in a dictionary just with one item, and it's saying filter by that. We could also do filter where blah, blah, blah. And we just want to get the first one of those. And let's go ahead and just convert it to a dictionary right here. Why doesn't it like? That's not like first. Why doesn't it like first? Mhm. What's the squiggle say? First is not defined. Oh, maybe I should make that a dot. There we go. So there's our production. That's going to query our model, get the first one that matches by ID, should be the only one. And then we're just going to return make response. And we're going to make response with the production, and we'll give it a 200. Why did I do that? I don't know why. Cool. And that's that. We're querying, getting one thing, making a response. Does it work? We'll find out. What was it? We just did waiting for Godot, right? That's number 5. Not found. Cool. Productions. Do we need to restart? I bet we need to restart. Yeah. Cool. And that's how we do our get by one. Yeah, it went better than I expected it to go. So another thing we can do here. So this is your basic gets and posts. We can do deletes just as easily. Deletes and patches. Let me go ahead. I'm not gonna. Well, how much do I want to do here? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess I'll just stub it out, and leave the rest as an exercise to the class, or maybe not. Maybe I'll just type some stuff and we'll talk through it. So since we are just adding the class here to our route, we don't need to add all the methods separately. So as long as we just keep adding methods to this class, it should pick them up. So if I define a delete, and I'm going to want, well, am I going to want it by, you know what, we're deleting 1, right? So I'm going to want it in this class because we're going to want to grab that ID, right? There, space. So same thing, self and ID. Yeah, I don't think we're going to add anything else to this main one because that's for, we're going to want the index. We're going to want the create. I think everything else is going to be by ID because we're going to want to get the one by ID. We're going to want to patch the one by ID. We're going to want to delete the one by ID. Yeah, that sounds right. Cool. So we're just going to add ones to the by ID. And again, since we're just adding stuff to that route, we don't need to specifically add anything else down here. When I said this is the documentation, that's not entirely true. But you know, you can make a little comment. It's like, oh, here's our get and post, and this is going to be our get, patch, and delete. I know, and if we're not doing one of those, it's just get and delete. There's no patch. But you don't have to do that because the code's right here. Great. What does a delete look like? We're going to get the, we're going to get the production again, just like that. I don't want it to turn into a dictionary just yet. If I did this one more time, I might want to break that out into something, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. So we're going to do the production, and so we can just from the we can just delete it from the session, right? I think that'll work. Then we commit. And again, the reason we commit here, like if we wanted to do a whole bunch of things, if we wanted to, maybe there's something where we, there's a resource that contains a list of more resources like it, and we had a method that split all the babies out and added them all and then deleted the mama resource, we would want to do that all in one shot, not like do them one at a time and maybe one fails and then we're in a unstable state. So this is where we would be like, grab all the things, make a bunch of more things, add DB session, add all the things, and then DB delete the mom, and then or a parent, and then we commit all of those all at once. So we know that that's a single operation. But for these, we're just doing one at a time. That's just the more you know. Cool, and then we're just going to return a response. We're going to make response, and we're just going to return nothing. And what is the code for? I think it's 204. Q204, no content. There we go. So we're going to return a 204 with that to let it know it was deleted. Great. And that's our delete method. Bang. Let's test that out. So yeah, we know our production's there. Great, it works. I'm going to restart because it probably didn't pick up that method. Bing. Cool. Make sure that still works. Still in there. We're going to send a delete. And we're going to send a delete to productions 5. And there should be no JSON with it. Nobody. And so this should return us a 204 with no response. Great. No body headers. Oh, 204, no content. Great. And so let's do this again. Hey, it's not there because we deleted it. Hey, no to dick. Oh, there's no to dick because there's nothing there. But if we look at our big list, we have our and at the end. Yep, great. Delete done. Everything's coming up productions. And we are at time pretty much. I'm just gonna real quick throw the patch on here and try to talk about it as little as possible. We'll see. We'll see if that works. Cool. So for our patch, we're just going to throw our patch in there, get our self ID, which is essential. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to grab. See, there's the third time. There's the magic third time. If this was a real application, I would definitely want to make a function for that because there's probably more things we're going to do there. Cool. If yeah, we could check if not production, we could throw an exception. I'm not going to do that right now. What I am going to do is I'm going to get the JSON of the body. Get JSON. Does that work still? Well, I'm just going to do JSON. Yeah, and I think we can just do the add. We need to create an. Oh no, we need to go through and set all the. Well, yeah, we need to go through and set it all. We'll say for key in request JSON, right? Or is that the text? That's the text. Oh yeah. Is it? Oh, man. I don't think it is. We'll see. Either it'll work or it won't. So we're going to need to set the production. Oh, Python is inside out. We need to, yeah, that's what we need to do. We need to set that to, we need to give it a key, and then we need to give it the request JSON. the value. Yeah, that sounds good. And then we're just going to add, yeah, I think we can use add it here. Production commit, shortcut for that. And then we're going to make response, and that's going to be 200, but that's okay. And we're going to respond production to date, right? That's going to get our data back. Why are you mad? Return, make response.
You need a comma.
Yeah, there we go. Boom. I feel like that's going to work. Let's see. Who do we want to mess with? Let's tank the budget for no one wants to see Hamlet anymore. So I'm going to make this a patch. I'm going to give it a JSON body, get rid of all that. We're just going to set that budget to $20. That's going to be for number one. I'm like 70% confident here. We'll see. Forbidden. Did I need to restart the server? Was that it? It's just not running. Right, let's see if that does it. Nope, still forbidden. Why forbidden? AirTunes. Oh no. Oh. Now I understand everything. Okay. So here's a fun fact. Oh. I can tell by looking at this little walkthrough that whoever made it was working on a Windows machine. Whoever wrote this little walkthrough was on a Windows machine. How can I tell that? Because port 5000 is what AirTunes uses on a Mac. That's why nothing was working yesterday. That's why nothing was working yesterday. Because, and I don't know why it's working now. Amazing. Because that is going to be intercepting, probably that's going to be intercepting a lot of requests or requests at random. And so this is going to fail randomly. So if you're on a Mac, don't use port 5000. Look at that. Cool. So I'm gonna set my port to 5555. Is that going to magically fix anything? Maybe not. Let's find out. That works. And make sure our get by one works. Great. Oh, I'm so mad. Let's change this to 5555 and let's patch that budget. If it's still forbidden, I am fine with that, but that's a thing. Look at that. That's why everything wasn't working. Oh, Lewis. Cool. Wow. Well, that gives me a little bit of peace of mind then. And the only reason I know that is because I've come across that problem before in different contexts. So here's our budget. Let me just go ahead and check here. We tanked our budget. Great. Our patch by one works here. And that's where I'm going to end it, I think. Woo, and hey, look, patch. Cool. So this is the start of a beautiful little thing here. If we wanted to make some routes for our cast members, we could definitely do that. I'm not going to do that here. I'll leave that as an exercise to players at home. But they're basically the same thing. And no, I'm not going to talk about that now. Relationships are the same as in regular swap for me. Wow, that's infuriating. Okay, I'm going to definitely drop some pull requests to all that. Oh, my mind is just blown. Cool. That's a lot of stuff. That was a lot of stuff to go over. It mostly worked, and we solved a big problem. So, what questions do y'all have for me?
Not really a question, but I feel like embarrassed. I feel like I or one of us should have caught that error or that malfunction with port 5000, because that's explicitly covered in the curriculum for us. Like in the opening modules to this phase, they specifically say that you'll see that we're using port 5500 in all of our exercises and labs because port 5000 on a Mac machine is reserved for or used by AirTunes, AirDrop, or whatever. So
yeah,
there you go.
Wow. Yep. Teach me not to read the curriculum, I guess. Clearly. Wow. Well, I'm glad that is in there for y'all.
It is. Yeah.
Great. And now here's a great example of what happens when you don't read the manual. But yeah, if I hadn't looked at that headers, always check your headers. Headers. That I should have done that first. Whenever you have problems, often there will be stuff in the headers that is helpful. Not like that, but in other ways. But I'm glad I looked at them there. Looking at headers is a great way to debug stuff, or a tool that you can use. So we did it. We made a little Flask application. You already know how to do React. So in theory, you could do this here. But I'll run through some stuff with React tomorrow, I think, since we have a good foundation here. And we are slowly fixing all of our problems related to computers anyway. So related to this story. Any last questions? Let me stop the share so we can see some faces, if any. So I can see my own face. There we are. Cool. Yeah. Any last questions before we shut it down? All right. That felt way better than yesterday. Cool. Sweet. I will post this in all of the usual places. I'll throw it in the channel and on my playlist, which is now pinned at the top of the channel on YouTube. And yeah, anything else, give a holler. I'll be around, and I'll see you at Stand Down. Thanks for hanging out.